All right, check this out. You guys are back on an episode of Blue Devil Reactions, and what we have going on today, it is a video titled Hood War Stories, right? Well, it is from the page Hood War Stories, and the video is titled The Story of KAM 13, Deadliest Most Active Gang of Boyle Heights. If you don't know what KAM stands for, it stands for Crazy ASS Mexicans, right? Let me tell you, when I used to live in the county of Imperial, there used to be 3 wicked brothers that lived over there in that county, and they were with the business. You know, they used to post with my family, there are some stories of them in Imperial that, I'll tell you like this, people were afraid of these guys. Like, literally afraid. Grown men afraid, right? But listen, we're going to leave that for a different time. You guys know we've been dropping a lot of heat from Hood War Stories because they do their due diligence, they do it right, and a lot of their content is grade A. There might be some stories that are off, but for the most part, the ones that we've done have been on point, right? But check this out, before we get into this video today, you know what, I'm not even going to tell you the day because I don't even know when you're going to be watching this, but we go live today. Today we're going to go live at 7:30 p.m. Alright, so make sure you guys pull up to Hater World Uncensored. And right now we got a couple of videos up on the Hater World. Let me give you the titles so that way you can go and research them videos. One of them is titled, damn, this is taking forever. Alright, check it out. One of them is called C-Mac Robbing His People. And the other one is titled Rhodium Radio. Oh, here they are. Okay, here you go. Here you go. No questions asked. Did I just refresh and it's taking forever? Something's going on today. The other one's called Rhodium Radio and the Chicano Rap Documentary. Go and look them up. Okay, here they go. American Cholo updates everyone on the Chicano Rap Documentary and beef with Tony A. And the other one is called Crip Mac Learning from the Best, doing his people wrong for taking donations for interviews. And those are both on the Hater World. Go show some love, support, subscribe. You already know. Listen, to subscribe, it don't cost you nothing. It's free, right? And you guys already know that when you guys help the homie out, I'm the homie. When you support the homie will support you. You know, it's very simple. It don't cost you nothing. And what you're actually doing is helping the culture elevate. With all that being said and nothing else more to be said on this intro, let's watch this video, The Story of KAM 13, Deadliest Most Active Gang of Boyle Heights. I think other people would beg to differ, but I'm not from Boyle Heights, so I'm not going to have input on that. But let's watch this video and get you guys a Blue Devil reaction.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the KAM gang. KAM is a Mexican-American gang located in Boyle Heights, California. Boyle Heights was established in 1858 and came to attract residents from across racial and ethnic lines because of its lack of racial covenants that dictated who could live where throughout the city. The neighborhood, which lays east of the LA River, became a landing spot for newcomers, which started as a principal Jewish community at 40% of the population, included Japanese Americans, Black Americans from the South,
wow,
Italians, and Mexican Americans.
Damn, so at one point Boyle Heights had it all. Blacks, Mexicans, Asians. Did he say whites? But regardless, it was a melting pot.
It's one of the few communities in Southern California that was multiracial from the start. The transformation to a substantially Mexican-American community began during World War II, when the Japanese population of Boyle Heights was forcibly evacuated by military order, stripped of property, and sent to wartime relocation camps.
Wow.
Then after the war, European immigrants left Boyle Heights for the new suburbs of Los Angeles.
You know, it's crazy how a lot of us, I'm not gonna lie, bro, I'm one of them, right? Don't know that much history of the city we live in or the city we claim. You know, we might know some gang history, but a lot of us, bro, we don't know like deep how the city, grew, and to hear some of these stories is wild sometimes. It's like, damn, I really lived there. You know, I've seen books of cities I lived in, and I've seen books of like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it'll show you like the places you visit now, what they used to look like. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's creepy like a motherfucker. You know. But let's go.
In their wake came Latinos, eager to rent homes and establish businesses close to the center of the city. So many came that Boyle Heights, and the East Los Angeles communities adjacent to it, had become the Mexican-American capital of the nation. By the late 80s, Boyle Heights was a community in distress,
Projects.
which meant growing up there meant living in constant fear. Overhearing gunshots and police helicopters were routine, day and night. Streets were overran with drug dealers and buildings sprayed with graffiti. Residents worried about getting caught in gang crossfire or finding dead bodies in the alleys. By the early 90s, Boyle Heights was the area with the highest concentration of gangs in the entire city of Los Angeles. KAM gang.
That's because there's a gang on every block. You know, listen, when you live in cities where there's gangs like in one neck of the woods, and then you got nice housing or stores, and there's no more gangs for another couple of miles, it's a little bit easier to contain, right? But when you got every block is a gang, right? Every single way that you go, you know, it's pretty difficult to keep, you know. So I believe it.
Which stands for Crazy Ass Mexicans.
Told you.
Initially started as a group of taggers in the 1980s, a group who just wanted to lay down graffiti on walls, signs, and other clean surfaces they could find. Two older established gangs, Vickett Street and Vickystown, bullied and pressured the crew to join their gangs, but KAM refused to change and were underestimated as being just taggers. They fought back hard, eventually pushing everyone out and taking over the whole neighborhood.
Damn.
Vickystown, who were located near the corner of Wabash and Evergreen, were booted out and sent to San Bernardino.
Vickystown was sent to San Bernardino? Nah, really? Listen, I know Vickystown is also upstate, Southsiders. Don't ask me why I know, but I know, you know, I'm close to somebody from up there. But there's Vickystown, and I think, where is it? San Jose? Is it San Jose? I'm not sure. Somebody let me know. But there are upstate Southsiders from Vickystown. But I never knew they went to San Bernardino.
Were booted out and sent to San Bernardino.
What?
The Centennial Boys gang, who were just 2 blocks south, also pushed out. Vickett Street, who used to have a hood in the heart of KAM's current territory, died out and got absorbed. They made the State Street locals fall back, and they took out Lower East Side, Wabash, King Cobras, Hick Street, and Michigan Criminal Force. It was a full-blown takeover. They established a big chunk of territory, smack dab in the middle of Boyle Heights, where
El Tepayac Cafe. The Tepayaks are good, bro. There's a bunch of restaurants. El Tepayac, not the same one, but they're. I actually ate Tepayac today, believe it or not. Damn, these fools took over, my boy. You know, it was one of those situations where it's like, get with the program or get ran over. And listen, when you building a gang or a structure or a business, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So salute to KAM for doing what they had to do and surviving. You feel what I'm saying? Let's go.
the battle for territory was vicious. All this while simultaneously going at it with powerhouse gangs such as Big Hazard and Villa. They are completely surrounded by enemies and are arguably the most active and hated gang of Boyle Heights. The KAM gang has no allies, and they also beef with the Florence gang, seeing that they have another clique within close proximity of them. On May 15th, 2004, at approximately 11 p.m., David was at a King Taco with his girlfriend Diana, another female friend Evelyn, and two male friends, while David and Diana were waiting in line to order their food. The security guard read out the license plate number of a car and asked the car to be moved. Carlos stepped out of line, apparently to move the car, and bumped into David. Carlos then asked David where he was from. David said he was from the Florence gang, and Carlos said he was from KAM. David then told Carlos, "Hey, don't disrespect me in front of my girl." To which Carlos responded, "Fuck you and your bitch.
I knew it.
She's ugly anyways."
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it, bro. I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. F you and F your hood rat. I knew that was coming. Somebody get smoked right now. Guaranteed, bro. That's not gonna go down. That's not gonna go down, and somebody gonna get away with disrespecting not only the gang, but the hyena. That fool's manhood is on the line right now. He has to grab his set of, you know what? Grab his pistol and get with the bucket.
David then punched Carlos in the face. In response, Carlos said, "Oh, you done fucked up now," and said that he had a gun, which he pulled out within seconds. David, Diana, and Evelyn then backed away from Carlos. Carlos then proceeded to open fire. Shots hit David and Diana. A security guard that had been walking toward the scene as the confrontation was unfolding was also shot in the chest. David, who suffered 3 gunshot wounds, was unable to speak for a minute or two after being shot, and then died on the restaurant floor.
Wow.
Diana, who was shot in the ankle, shattered a bone, and was hospitalized for 4 days, and to walk with crutches for 3 months. The security guard was in the ICU for at least 2 days after the shooting. Carlos Matier, from KAM, was found guilty of manslaughter and was sentenced to 34 years to life. Throughout the 90s,
34 years for manslaughter. You think manslaughter, well, manslaughter is a lesser charge than murder or attempted murder, but damn, 34 years? My boy. That's a gang of time, bro. Imagine this fool was inside the court, right? He was inside the courtroom and the judge said, okay, we're going to drop it from murder to manslaughter. I bet you he was like, hell yeah, I'm going home in 7 years. 34, sir.
In the early thousands, KAM was aggressively taking on multiple gangs to maintain the territory that they were able to acquire, forcing out numerous gangs in the process. One of those gangs was the Centennial Boys. Even though they were forcibly removed and backed into a corner, the Centennial Boys didn't go out without a fight. On the afternoon of November 19th, 2004, Richard, who was from KAM, had driven to a friend's house in search of drugs. He parked in his friend's driveway and went inside. When the friend said he didn't have any drugs, Richard left. As Richard was getting into his car, 3 Centennial Boys ran up and one of them began to shoot. Richard was shot 4 times. The fatal shot was a bullet that entered his left eye and killed him on March 25th, 2005.
So a Centennial Boy shot a KAM right in the eye. Boy, they were aiming to kill. Listen, this one thing's just to shoot your op, to scare them, or not to kill, have some fun. But it's another thing when you're aiming to smoke the guy. And that's what they did. All over some drugs. Now, like every hood story, right? Every gang story, the revolving door never ends. Now KAM is going to go back, smoke a Centennial Boy, and it's going to go back and forth until one of the other gangs is victorious. It's wild, but it's been going on like this for over 50 years. Yeah, you heard me right. Over 50 years.
Luis Muñez was booked for Richard's murder after a fellow gang member of his came forward with some confidential information. 9 days after he was booked, Luis was being transported in a van from the men's central jail to the East Lake Juvenile Court. When they arrived at court, the van door opened, and the first inmate who came out was pushed into a sheriff deputy. Luis, who had apparently managed to remove his handcuffs during the ride, began to make a run for it. 2 deputies pursued. Luis then jumped aboard a moving freight train. The deputies, running alongside the train, grabbed his legs. The deputies managed to get onto the train and grab Luis, who continued to resist until the officers used pepper spray. Luis Muñez, from the Centennial Boys, was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 39 years. KAM has gained the reputation of a ruthless gang
Damn, that fool almost got away, my boy. I was waiting for them to say that he got ran over by the train. I'm not gonna lie, I was waiting for that, bro.
Often eliminates witnesses before they are able to testify at trial. Fast forward to April of 2005. Francisco and Ernesto were from the KAM gang and were also good friends. They lived in a converted garage adjacent to Ernesto's grandmother's house. Jennifer and Erica, 2 women described as druggies, spent a lot of time at the garage with Francisco and Ernesto. The first murder victim was Raimundo Flores. Raimundo drove a green Impala with chrome rims, and there was evidence suggesting he had recently came into possession of $18,000, and that was known to Francisco and Ernesto. In the early morning of April 12, 2005, Raimundo was shot in the back of the head with a .380 semi-automatic handgun. He was found face down in an alley with his pants pockets turned out. He later died. The next 2 victims were Jennifer and Erica, the 2 women who were frequently at the garage with Francisco and Ernesto. 12 days after the Raimundo Flores murder, the two women were in the garage with Francisco, Ernesto, Gabrielle, Sergio, David, and Robert. In the course of the evening, after a group meeting in the bathroom among the men, Robert said, "We gotta tie these bitches up," which David understood to mean that Jennifer and Erica knew too much and had to be gotten rid of. Thereafter, Sergio and Robert killed Jennifer and Erica. Francisco and Ernesto loaded the bodies in the trunk of David's car and dropped them off in Tulare County. The three killings may have remained unsolved were it not for Ernesto's cousin's girlfriend, Jessica, who also died before trial. Several days after the murder,
They left a witness. They smoked two of them and left one. Damn, they did not tie up their ends.
of the two women, Jessica made a then anonymous call to the police, reporting the three murders. Francisco was eventually apprehended in Mexico and returned back to the United States. Francisco and Ernesto, from KAM, were both convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder. They were both sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The KAM gang has a passion into creating fear in other neighborhoods. From the start, one of their longtime enemies has been the State Street Locos. The State Street Locos is a gang founded around the State Park area of Boyle Heights. They were known as the State Boys in the 1980s, but eventually transformed, and their territories borders camps to the west. Back in the early 90s, KAM and TSS were tagging crews. The State Street Locos were trying to get TSS and KAM to join their gang. KAM refused to join, while most of TSS joined State Street, except for one member. A black guy from TSS was rejected from State Street because State didn't want any blacks in their hood.
Damn.
A black guy from TSS.
Damn, they did the homie dirty, huh? They said no blacks. They did the homie dirty, bro. Cause I tell you like this, some of the craziest motherfuckers are not Mexican. You know, some of the craziest homies are not. Bro, listen. There's a few white homies from my neighborhood. They with the business, bro, and they white. They'll tell you they got a little bit of Mexican in it, but they lying like a motherfucker. You know, I be telling them, fool, quit lying. You're not Mexican, right? So, you know, because they feel that they have to prove themselves a little bit more than everybody else. You feel what I'm saying? So, I don't know why people judge like that. You know, I tell a story that I once had a homie that was full-blown paisa, right? He was full-blown paisa. And he always wanted to get in, right? Always wanted to get into the hood. And when I finally took him around to the homies to get in, they were like, nah, we can't get him in because he don't know no English. All he knows is Spanish. He a liability. And I'm like, nah, fool, this fool, you know, he with the shits. And which he was. But because he didn't know English, he was a straight paisa. Didn't want to take that risk. Ask me what risk, I don't know, right? But I respected what the big homie said. I stay quiet. Well, this guy gets jumped into a different gang and goes and smokes one of his ops and gets life in prison. He smokes 2 of his ops. And I always tell the homie from the hood, right? The big homie, I'll be like, see, that could have been our kills under our belt. And you gave that shit to someone else. You know, and that homie is doing life right now. You know, sad situation, very sad, but that's the way the game is.
Dropped him, enjoying KAM, who embraced him with open arms. The black guy was one of KAM's earliest members and helped transform their crew into a deadly force on the streets.
I told you.
He put in serious work on the State Street Locos,
told you.
Allegedly killing a handful of their members. State Street and KAM have been engaged in a war that is still current. At about 2:36 p.m. on September 29th, 2010, Giovanni was walking toward his girlfriend's house on Wabash Street. He was then approached by Juan, who asked Giovanni where he was from. Giovanni answered that he was from nowhere. Juan replied that he was from KAM and told Giovanni that he should not be walking in his barrio. Juan then pulled out a gun from his waistband, racked it, and pointed it at Giovanni. He asked Giovanni if he had any money. Giovanni responded that he did not and started walking away. Juan then asked someone on his phone, "Should I pop him?" At this point, Giovanni began to run. Juan then fired 5 to 6 shots. Giovanni was shot in the stomach and back. At the hospital, Giovanni identified Juan from a photo lineup on October 7th, 2010.
What
Juan
a
was
rat.
apprehended after being spotted
What a rat, my boy.
by police in an alley. Text messages on Juan's phone indicated that on September 29th, he was armed with a .380. Throughout that day, Juan exchanged messages referencing various KAM gang members and messages mentioning State Street gang members, and that there was, quote, a war going on with them bitches. Juan Carlos, from KAM, was convicted of premeditated attempted murder. He was sentenced to 40 years to life. In order to take full control of their neighborhood,
Wow.
KAM had to create an atmosphere of fear and be on the offensive attack at all times. engaging in wars lasting decades against powerhouse gangs like Big Hazard. The Big Hazard gang is located adjacent to KAM's territory. It was rumored during the time Big Hazard was firebombing black families out of their turf that KAM was allegedly sending their young homies on missions to shoot up their projects when it was get back time for Big Hazard. Often when they couldn't find their target, they just shoot at any civilian that was in KAM's territory. For KAM, being the most hated gang in Boyle Heights means your enemies are simply bothered and pressured up by your existence. On the afternoon of July 25th,
I don't like that that whole narrative of, you know, shooting random people, bro. I don't rock with that at all. Believe me when I tell you, that's some scumbag, dirtbag moves, and I would never accept that for me and my homies. You know, I just don't. I don't. And if you do, let me know down in the comments if you respect that or you neglect that. Let's go.
13. Mario drove with his friend Oscar to Oscar's house. The house was within territory claimed by the KAM gang. As they pulled into Oscar's driveway, a red Lexus with a gold trim drove past him, made a U-turn, and stopped behind them. A passenger in the Lexus got out of the car and approached Mario's car. He wore a gray hooded sweatshirt with the USC logo. He asked Mario and Oscar where they were from. They replied that they were from nowhere and they were students.
Yeah,
the man
right.
said fuck KAM and told Oscar to say fuck KAM. This shot both men several times. Oscar was shot in the face, arm, and back. Mario was shot 3 times in his arm. One bullet passed through his arm and lodged in his chest. They both survived.
Ooh.
Oscar's mom was nearby when she heard the shots. She saw Oscar lying in the car and a man standing nearby, who then turned and pointed the gun at her. When the driver of the Lexus honked the horn, the man got into his car and left. An officer heard the report of the shooting and drove immediately to the remote garden housing projects, where he found a Lexus. He arrived 15 to 20 minutes after the report of the shooting. The hood of the Lexus was hot, indicating that it had been recently driven. Oscar,
Bro, 20 minutes response time is crazy. Wild.
selected the shooter from a 6-pack photo lineup. Ryan Cepeda, from Big Hazard, was convicted on 2 counts of attempted murder. He was sentenced to consecutive life terms. KAM currently has their hood in control and on lock. KAM graffiti is marked everywhere in their territory, signifying their heavy presence. They are one of the few hoods in their region where gang members can still be seen patrolling their neighborhood in packs.
Wow. Yeah, because there is a lot of hoods, bro, where you pull up and there's nobody outside no more. You know, it's all, you know, they only come outside when it's time to get active. A lot of hoods no longer are out there posted on the block, you know, on the corner, you know, etc., etc. Times have changed. This one was a little bit wild for the simple fact that it was telling you about KAM, and then it also told you about the State Street locals, and it also told you about the other gang. What was the other gang that was across the way? What was it? What was it? Now I'm stuck, bro. I hate being stuck.
Back in the early 90s, they boys in the 1980s, but eventually transformed, and their territories borders camps to the west. Back in the early 90s.
Fuck, man. But what? Hold on.
Adjacent to KAM stores lasting decades against powerhouse gangs like Big Hazard.
Big Hazard. Fuck, what a retard. Listen, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys really rock with this video or not, or what you guys want to see next. You already know. Other than that, we go live at 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock. Pull up. Don't be late. Hater World Uncensored. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video of Blue Devil Reactions, and we out.
Blue Devil gang, 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 shit, you already know what it is.